Hey, feeling good, like I should. When in the walk around the neighborhood, feeling blessed, never stressed. Got that sunshine on my Sunday best. Yeah, hey, every day can be a better day despite the challenge. All you gotta do is leave it better than you found it. It's gonna get difficult to stand, but hold your balance. I just say whatever, cause there is no way you're found. Everyone falls down sometimes, but you just gotta know it'll all be fine. It's okay. It's okay. It's okay. Feeling good, like I should. When in circle, walk around the neighborhood. Feeling blessed, never stressed. Got that sunshine on my Sunday best. Hey, some days you wake up and nothing works, you feel surrounded. Gotta give your feet some gravity to get you grounded. Keep good things inside your ears just like the waves and sound it. And just say whatever, cause there is no way you're grounded. Everyone falls down sometimes, but you just gotta know it'll all be fine. It's okay. It's okay. It's okay. Feeling good, like I should. When in circle, walk around the neighborhood. Feeling blessed, never stressed. Got that sunshine on my Sunday best. Hey, feeling good, like I should. When in circle, walk around the neighborhood. Feeling blessed, never stressed. Got that sunshine on my Sunday best. Discover matches all the cash back you earn on your credit card at the end of your first year. It's amazing because Discover's accept.
Good morning, everybody. We'll get started in just 1 minute.
You know, it was kind of funny, so I decided to do this
Good morning, everybody.
Morning.
How's everybody doing this morning?
Good morning.
Good morning.
Tired of this rain. Let's see. Hope everybody is staying safe and dry. We're going to keep letting people in and we will get started in just 1 second. All right, Miss Carmen, are you ready?
We're ready. Sorry, we had a couple announcements.
Perfect. All right, guys, we're going to get started. We had a fabulous mega camp. Although it's virtual, it still was so many ahas for me. And I know Carmen and I have had conversations around it. So we wanted to really bring some things to you guys, share with you all in case you didn't get to attend. And then especially this market update. It is so vitally important. Gary does this at Family Reunion every year and at Mega Camp. He has a team of economists that actually report into like CNN, NBC, different things like that, that they're called on for the market update. And so getting to hear directly from these sources is a big deal. And getting to see what we can anticipate what the market's going to do is huge. So we're going to share that with you guys this morning. Carmen, are you ready?
We are having technical difficulties.
Okay, we can hold on. We can hold tight. Does anybody want to share some gratitude this morning? And you just let me know when you're ready.
Okay.
Anybody have some gratitude to share as we're getting started this morning? That's always a great way to get us started.
There we go. All right, Katie, we talk.
Okay, perfect. Yes.
No.
Nope.
So this Sardik, I have some gratitude.
Yes, ma'am. Go ahead.
I'm just thankful for waking up this morning and being able to come to Keller Williams. Woohoo!
I love it. I love it.
Park, woohoo!
That's some good energy right there. Anyone else?
All right.
We're good?
Yeah.
Awesome. Perfect.
Okay.
We ready for our first slide?
Yeah.
Why is it showing 8? Oh, I went backwards. Okay, here we go, Carmen. This is your slide.
Okay, so this is just kind of a Keller Williams end of Q2. We are now up to 1.6 billion in profit share. We got all kinds of accolades just in Q2. We had 88 top real estate teams on Real Trends. That's more than any other company. And we generated 418,000 leads through Command. And the average cost of that was $2.51 for Facebook. And we closed 145 billion in sales. That's 70.3% over Q2 of 2020. Our competitors were up 52%. So we are, as always, outpacing our competitors. So
That's amazing. That is amazing. And you know what's cool too is like one of the questions Gary had for leadership was, if your office isn't also outpacing and outperforming the history of that company, then we need to make adjustments. And that's something that you guys can look at in your business too. I mean, we all need to be reflecting this phenomenal increase for sure.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm finding my clicker. Okay. Any thoughts or comments, feedback around that? It's awesome to be number one. That's my thought.
Yep.
All right, I have a funny little video that they shared at Mega Camp that I thought you guys would enjoy. And we're gonna be toggling back and forth from the Mega Camp platform, which if you signed up for it, it's good for 60 days. So everything they have is also recorded to go back to. So you guys get to see a glimpse of the event platform. That's kind of cool. Pardon the slowness.
Contaminated.
So you can see the video library is very extensive.
Just realized.
Here we go.
Oh, I like the color of the bike. How much?
I don't know. What's your best offer?
Best offer. Can I ride it?
$250.
Huh? 400 in cash. Where are you all coming from?
I really need this bike.
$800. And I don't even know how to ride a bike.
$1,000.
Are they bidding on the bike?
No, just brokers trying to recruit me. All right, I'm gonna need everyone's bids in the next 5 seconds.
I'm from out of state. I'll buy all your
My
bikes.
client will pay $5,000.
And I'll throw in my team.
So,
Hey kid, how much for that bike?
my client is accepting all offers. Starting price of personal unicorn.
Thanks, Miss
I thought that was kind of a cute video about kind of what everybody's feeling in the real estate market right now, for sure. Okay. Here we go.
So as always, Gary was super quotable at Mega Camp. Change is inevitable, participation is optional. But something that he really, really stressed at Mega Camp was there comes a certain point where the change has passed you by and it's not, it's your participation is not optional at that point. It's too late. So don't let your chance to participate in the technology and in this changing market pass you by. And good morning. And he also said something that really struck me. We are either running towards opportunity or away from calamity. You know, is the only time you're running, is it away from something bad or something that you fear? When we really should be running towards opportunity. So, as always, Gary. So
Yeah.
wise.
Yeah, that's why we have the clever t-shirts, because he always drops these little bombs and they get turned into t-shirts. On the change too, he's like, you know, like you said, Carmen, it's going to change and it's up to us how we respond. But what he was really, you know, clear on is like, don't just ignore it. Don't put your head in the sand, because this change is here, you know, and we can all look back and think on, gosh, the last 24 months. And that's what we're going to see in the market update too, is how much our business has just changed in the last 2 years. It's crazy to even think about. We get to participate though, right?
Yep. And these were kind of our themes of Mega Camp, and there are some things coming that we can't tell you yet, but are going to blow our competitors out of the water. Agent-centered, as always. He is making sure that agents have the opportunity for growth. He's keeping everything to where we're the forefront of the transaction. Next slide. She's
I'm just
muted.
talking on mute. This is my first time. But what I was saying is, you've got opportunity, and I'm looking down at my notes. They broke the sessions into kind of leads, listings, and leverage. And on the leads, he says, create your opportunity for leads. Don't wait for them. So, I mean, it can be a big opportunity, or it can be just like the daily activity of what you're doing.
Yeah.
Okay, here we go. There you go. Next slide.
So these are all of our ancillary companies. What is special about Keller Williams is that we have options for all of these pretty much. So it's just kind of exciting to be in a company that gives us these things.
Well, it goes back to the opportunity, Carmen, and one of the big things he was saying is there's so many non-real estate companies coming into the market to try to corner this. And so the fact that our agents can offer much more than just a real estate transaction, that they have the opportunity to provide full service, that's what's going to build clients for life. And that's what's going to build businesses worth having. And so sometimes I feel like, and I'm sure you get this too, Carmen, there's so much, people say, oh my gosh, it's too much. Well, the reason there's so much is for you to be set apart to provide so much value for your customers and clients.
Yeah.
I keep losing my pointer. I'm sorry. There you go.
And this just kind of is the same thing.
Mm-hmm. Value.
Or value.
Yeah. It goes back to the value that you're able to provide. All right, so now we're going to get into the market update, and we have to go back to our market slides to share with you some of the graphs and things. And you'll see at the bottom of every graph the site in which they got the information. So they started, of course, and actually the title was Going Beyond COVID to Build a Better Real Estate Company. And we all took a hard pivot when COVID hit. There was a lot of uncertainty. And we just, you guys included, you wouldn't be sitting here today or on this call today had you not pushed forward in the times of uncertainty. But he really started it off talking about the daily cases. And he said, the positive rate started in November. Before the vaccines were available. And then now, of course, due to the more contagious strain and lagging vaccination rates, he said only 50.9% of Americans were fully vaccinated at the time of the presentation. And COVID-19 once again threatens to disrupt multiple industries, including real estate. And so it's not political and it's not this, that, and the other, but it's something that is impacting our business in a big way, and we need to keep a record of it. Carmen, I don't know if you got the stat, but I think he said 128,000 new cases of COVID every 70 days. I mean, every 7 days. And the Delta variant is 94% of the cases.
Yeah.
And so those are just stats that are impacting what we're doing. I mean, even as we're hiring agents, we're having to adopt and adapt what we're doing to make sure that we're, one, not risking unnecessarily, and two, still taking care of business.
Yep.
Anything you wanted to add from this graph?
No.
Oh, I don't have a clicker. I just scroll. Then he went into the home sales, annual home sales. So you can look at what we've got here, and you've seen from 91, how of course it came up in 05, and then of course we know what happened in 08, and that we have steadily been climbing back up to now hitting, the fifth best recorded year in the history of real estate. We're estimating 5.9 million single family home sales. And Gary, of course, some of his famous quotes. To capitalize on this impressive productivity, Keller reminded agents about the importance of keeping contact with their sphere. It's something that we talk about all the time, and you guys are armed with the best tools and resources to be able to do that. Anybody have any thoughts or ahas around this graph? This is a big one.
Total market or just Keller Williams? Total.
This is total market. United States. And he did say, expect to see less activity in the second half of the year than you did in the second half of last year. And that was due to our spring being compressed when COVID hit in March. So our spring last year was kind of pushed into fall in quarter four. He said, you're still going to see some growth, but opposed to the 59% growth, we're expecting a 51% growth.
Yeah, let's scroll to that seasonality.
Let's see. There you go. Here we go. 'That's exactly what I was just talking about. Yep.
2020, abnormal, but what you're doing today is what is going to affect your second half. So you can still have a really strong Q3 and 4.
Definitely. Most definitely. And we're doing what 95% of the realtors are not doing, right? We're leaning into all of this. And then we're going into, of course, home price, annual home price. Now, again, this is covering United States. This is not our local market, but you can see where we have returned to the 4% trend line. Gary and Ruben Gonzalez, who is the economist, have said, anytime you see prices going above that 4% annual increase, there's going to be a price correction. And we may have something where we're seeing that slower than some markets, and we may be seeing it really suddenly in other markets. And so you can see how the home price annually has increased tremendously over the last 30 years. Let's see. He said, we have seen a 28% increase in home price over the last 24 months. If that's not a conversation starter with the people in your sphere, I don't know what is. 28% increase in the last 24 months. Ruben Gonzalez added, those numbers basically equate to a rise as big as the median home family income. That's crazy. Any thoughts around that?
It's just nuts.
It's just nuts. That's right. All right, now let's look at the inventory, of course. One of Gary's quotes was, when people are saying, are we sure it's a good time to buy and sell? It's always a good time to buy or sell, depending on your motivations. The truth of the matter is, it's never the fault of real estate if you lose money, and it's never the credit to the real estate if you make money. It's all about timing. So right now, as we're looking at, December took a huge hit at nationally 1.9 months average inventory. We're coming back up at 2.6, but as you can see, it's far from a huge inventory year. If you look at in 12, when we got 6.4 and 6.2, we're way below that here with our month supply. He said, for relaying this information to a client, you can make it very simple. If you intend to live in this home for at least 7 or 8 years, you're good. So people are kind of worried about the inventory and their market value. Said 7 to 10 years is still that kind of, you're going to get your worth out of that home and build up equity in it. And then we're looking at new listings, of course. So we have felt this very personally. If you look at the average 2015 to 2016, that's that turquoise line, and we've seen it go up and come down. And then in 2020, there was a huge dip, of course, in April, and then it came back up. And then, of course, in the end of the year, it went back down. You can see this year where we've started below these lines, come up to almost that completely healthy market, taken a slight dip in May, and then exceeded expectations in June. You can see that the trend line is coming back down again. So that's something that we're very aware of. It is also very hyper local too. And then this is per agent. So it's similar graph, but it's showing, that how many agents are taking listings. And one of the things he said is you can still see There's a handful of listings taking, a handful of agents taking a majority of the listings, and that's going to happen. And so that's why we teach so much being listing specialists and listing focused, because we want you guys to be the ones in the captaincy of the market and taking these listings. Mortgage rates. So one thing he said, family reunion 19 is, you know, as we saw these things dropping, it was kind of right here. It was coming down from the 4.87. And he's like, it's going to continue to drop, but what we're going to expect is it's going to hit bottom. And just like a spring, we're going to see it go back up. And so that's exactly what we see here. 2.74 was the, you know, mortgage rate kind of percentage in January 21. And now we have kind of hit a little bit in the summer, come back down to 2.98 in June. And what are we seeing in our local market? Is it going up above that 2.98? Anybody? What mortgage rates are y'all seeing?
Auburn seeing 3.25,
Okay.
maybe a little less, but
Yeah.
right around.
Well, it's kind of that line though, is going up, not down, right? So, but we can feel that here. He did say that due to the natural events and things, we may be seeing some of this be affected and impacted due to that. There's been a lot of wildfires. Of course, the hurricanes have just come through. And then of course we have COVID, the Delta variant going around.
And just a quick shout out, they're still super low. And one of our agents, Mr. Burton Hadaway, I hear him every day. He is touching his sphere by talking about refinance with Keller Mortgage.
Mhm.
It's an incredible opportunity for your clients. And he's doing it at a high level of using that as a touch. I mean, it's giving our people value. That's valuable. So just.
That's so good. And Burton, aren't you doing like a letter to your database and then a follow-up with a phone call strategically?
Yeah, I'm trying to do 5 or 6 letters a day. And then I'm putting my tasks, I'm got a tickler in there to call them back in a week.
Yeah.
Perfect.
It's systemized, it's
That's right.
organized. It's not all willy-nilly, oh, I forgot that person. So.
That's right, because
important.
that's really what happens. That's really what happens.
Yep.
We can have the best intentions of the world. Okay, so we'll look at the economy. Of course, the economy is impacting what's happening in our real estate market. He went over the GDP and how it has taken a dip, of course, in 20, and then it picked back up tremendously Q4 of 20, and now we're seeing dips again. I'm trying to get to this right here, you guys. This is consumer confidence. This is something that they have started measuring. It's the University of Michigan has started doing this study, and it looks like in 2017 is kind of when they started consumer confidence. Look what happened in April of 20. That's right when we felt COVID hit. Confidence level was down 71.8. And then you can see how it's kind of climbed back up. It's seen a little bit of progression. And then, you know, as we felt more comfortable and confident what's going on, everybody felt they had a handle on what's happening with COVID, with the virus. And now in this summer with the Delta variant come back in, we're back to a low confidence level. I want this to be a discussion point. What does this mean to y'all? What do you think this means to your business? That the consumer confidence is low right now.
It means we have to do something to build their confidence back up. We have to get out there and we have to let them know that, hey, it's still time to make your move. And be honest and make sure and gain their trust.
That's right. That's right. We've talked about that trust triangle before. What are you guys in Auburn saying?
We're surprised by this because we feel that confidence is up.
Mm. See, that's interesting too. And then we too, you know, in Montgomery and Auburn, I feel like we're kind of in laid back areas, especially Auburn. You guys are like super chill and super like, yeah. But I feel like maybe our kind of small town communities may not be feeling this the way, say, some people in California have been feeling things, or in, you know, New York or different major metropolitan areas have been impacted by this. And of course, this is in Michigan. They did the study. I don't know. I'm assuming they did something nationally. But if we're supposed to be the market expert, are our sphere and our database and our people supposed to be hearing from us first or CNN first? They're supposed to be hearing from us. So that's where, are you touching your people? Are you informing them that the market is up 28% on home, you know, pricing over the last 24 months? Are you, you know, touching them and saying, hey guys, you know, do you know that I have a tool called Keller Mortgage? Just, you might want to look into it. It could save you some money. It's not always about pushing someone to sell, but it can build confidence when you're providing value. And you each one of y'all have a lot of value to provide to somebody. Okay, let's see. And then of course, unemployment. I know you guys knew this was coming. We've seen a lot going on with the unemployment lately. And this of course goes back to 91. 09, we hit a national high of 9.9% unemployment. We've come down to 2019, 3.7, which is the lowest that it's ever been. And then of course, to come back up 8.1 in the middle of COVID hitting. And then now we're back down to 4.8. That's something to take into consideration as you're having these conversations with people. And understanding, you know, sometimes, I know this was really big when we started doing our care calls in COVID. You would call somebody and say, hey, how are you? And find out they've been laid off their job. Are we prepared to have a conversation with them to maybe ease that situation by saying, you know, I'm not suggesting you do anything, but what I'm doing right now is reaching out to my sphere and giving them a free home evaluation. I'd love to do that for you in case that would ease your mind and show how much equity you have in your home. That may help you during this difficult time. All they can say is yes or no, but it's coming from contribution. And then of course, this is a comparison of the Great Recession and COVID pandemic, which everybody, that's been a lot of conversation I've heard is this another Great Recession? Isn't it? What's happening in the market? And this graph here, it's showing you what's going on here with that, the comparison between the two. And then job openings. Has anybody been anywhere lately that did not say we're hiring? Everyone is hiring right now. You can see the job openings in the millions. That's what the blue is. And so it looks like we have over 10 million job openings starting June of this year. That's just craziness. That is so crazy. And you can see where the unemployment rate is. That's the yellow line. We talked about inflation. So going through, you know, what you're going to expect to see with what's happening in the economy is, of course, you're going to see some inflation going up. We have felt that a lot in our real estate markets. And then now we've seen some of that corrections and things going on. Talked a lot about new construction. Carmen, do you want to share with them a little bit about what he was saying about new construction?
So we, they took the historical average, which obviously in 2005, 2006 was way up. We are in 2021 just now hitting that average. But incredible how many homes we have in new construction.
Yeah, and he's saying that's a great source of inventory for you to partner with a new construction locally, a developer or something like that. Or also KW we shared this, they've done a new home kind of division they're opening up, and they're opening up some trainings and some certification around that. Some states are counting that as CE. Alabama does not count that yet. And we'll let you know just as soon as they do, because I think that'll be a great class too around new construction and new home build as well.
I have a question about new construction. Have
Yes,
you
ma'am.
seen the builders changing their builder contract, adding say 6% to 5% possible material in price increase?
Yeah, you're saying you're seeing the price of the home for new build increasing because of the construction materials increasing?
Well, yeah, no, I'm saying is in their contract, there is extra, provisions or whatever they added or addendums. They say it's possible even after, for example, it's 300,000. However, by the time they finish building or in between, it's possible there will be 6% increase on the material. Have you seen that on the contract?
Yeah. So
Yes,
basically
okay.
what you're saying is you're seeing it's not locked in. There's no guarantee.
No, it's not
You go
locked
under
in.
contract. Yeah, you go under
Mhm.
contract at 300,000, but they have an addendum stating there could be a price increase of X percent
Yeah.
to accommodate and that's really valid on their part. Honestly, there were so many builders that in 08 took a huge hit. And so that's what they're doing to protect themselves. But you guys that are representing new build clients, are you aware of that? Are you looking for that in their contract? And are you able to explain that to your client? That's very valuable. Thank you for sharing that, Cordelia.
You're welcome. Yeah, my buyers are I have two buyers currently want to buy new construction, and one is like that, I don't want to do this. The other one said, I guess that's fine. And I put addendum showing if there is material increase, that we can get our earnings money back. Then the builder counterbacks that you do not need to put this because we have something saying this similar to this. However, the wording is kind of ambiguous. That's kind of reason why I put in addendum again. However, they scratched everything and say, and also even there is the one we made an offer is they already had the structure in, and they already added the price, upgrades on top of the base price. They already added everything. Still, they do not want us to put a final price there, leave it blank. So that's kind of concerning.
Yes, for sure. That is concerning.
Yeah.
Well, and what we know has happened before is we'll say new build buyers, they come in and they're like, oh my gosh, yes, I want the granite. Oh my gosh, yes, I want this. And they start adding it all up. And it sounds wonderful until they get that final amount. And then what can happen is they're over their approved amount for a loan. And so that's what you don't want to see happen. And so good job, Cordelia, protecting your buyer and making sure that you're drafting up these addendums, you're understanding the contract, you're reading the contract, because a lot of new builds, you do need to use their contract, but that's where you need to study them and know what's in it for sure. And always come to your broker, either Jimmy Ann or Burton, because they're going to be able to help you out with anything that you have a question about with those contracts.
Thank you.
Anything else? Okay, let's see. Oh, okay, and then it goes into Canada. I'm going to skip through Canada because, we're not there, but he did touch on some different things. Let's see. Some other industry topics. So y'all, I'm sorry, my mouse. Okay. One of the things he said that we can definitely predict is the mortgage forbearance. So the number of loans in forbearance has fallen by more than 50% from the peak in June of last year. And according to the Mortgage Bankers Association, there are approximately 1.6 million homes in forbearance. That'll be a huge source of inventory when that time comes. The pace of exits from forbearance is expected to accelerate over the next several months as a result of loans reaching final review. And it may create, of course, inventory as the loans exit forbearance through sales. However, the entire sale of homes in forbearance would equate less than 2 months of inventory at the current pace.
Yeah, I think this last bullet point is the most important one because your friends at the cocktail parties, everyone is talking about, yeah, well, the inventory is low, but once all the foreclosures hit, we're going to see tons of new homes hit the market. And it's just not true because we are so out of whack with inventory. It's only going to get us to like 3 months, where a balanced market is 6.
Mhm.
So you're still in a seller's market, even with 2 extra months of inventory. So I think that's really important to know, what inventory means and what a balanced market looks like, and knowing how out of whack we are. So
We are wacky, that's for sure. I mean, it is just, and if you guys can look at those graphs, I mean, that's the one thing, it's just like you see it so all over the place.
Hey, Katie,
Yeah.
I'm not sure if this is still the case or not, but I heard in a seminar one time that unless the market is over 50% foreclosures, that the foreclosures are priced at market value. So that's always a good thing when people are talking about foreclosures and, oh, I can pick up a great deal. It's like, no, you're not, because you're still going to pay market. And then you've got all these other variables behind it. So why would you deal with a foreclosure when you can be with a ready, willing, and able seller and not have the limitations that you do with foreclosures? And a lot of times they're just like, oh, I never thought of it that way.
That is a great script. And the cooperation, just to touch on what you just said, is like, so many people have a mindset, and that's where we're coming from. Not that we're going to prevent, of course, anybody from using it and buying with foreclosure and things like that, but the mindset of you're going to get a phenomenal deal and it's going to be a breeze and you're just going to submit something online. The cooperation is not there when you're dealing with some foreclosures. And that's where we want to make sure that we understand how to buy foreclosure. We want to understand how to submit the offer. And again, we talked about unique contracts. These foreclosure companies and these bank-owned properties, it is a unique situation. They all have kind of their certain stipulations and compliance that must be submitted. And it's not a standard buy-sell contract that we use from our local boards. And then he talked about remote work. So that's something we've seen, right? How many of you guys were working in the office and now are doing a lot of things from home, virtually, things in your car? Like, who can close a deal in the car right now? Probably everybody on this call. I mean, we're going to figure out how to make it work. But he went through the different industries that's seeing, remote work and bringing people back into the office. We're still seeing, hey, we're on Zoom right now, guys. We used to be completely in person for meetings every week. We're doing some hybrid situations. We're going to be, I know both us, Montgomery and Auburn, we're looking at what's going on in COVID and planning accordingly to, is it safe to be in person? Is it safe to plan ahead for a in-person event? That's things that we're looking at. And you guys in your business, if everything shut down today, would you be prepared to handle your business virtually? We got caught off guard when COVID first hit, and that's something that we can prevent from happening again. So just make sure that you have a plan for yourself and you're able to work and you're able to do as much as you possibly can do virtually if it does come to that. There's no guarantees, and we know that. I just thought it was interesting to kind of look at this graph to see who's been working remotely. Any thoughts, Carmen, on this remote work? And then foot traffic, of course. So we can see there's been a lot of, differences in foot traffic. So you can see the overall retail, groceries, and gyms. Poor gyms. I feel bad for the people that own gyms during COVID, because that's probably the first thing that everybody cut out is I'm just not going to go to the gym. But just retail, everything really, of course, hit a dip, picked back up a little bit, and has hit another dip and picked back up a little bit. So, as you guys were saying in Auburn, you don't feel that confidence is low. That's probably right here where we're kind of feeling people are still out and about and doing things for sure. Not to a great extent. And then e-commerce. One of the things Gary said last year at Mega Camp when it went virtual and we all were kind of like, oh my gosh, there are going to be more consumers. And I think it was Google that said this, Gary and Google, more consumers looking at utilizing services online when they never have before. And that kind of goes back to, are you prepared to handle your business online? And so a lot of consumers switched who they would typically use for different services and providers during COVID because they had accessibility online. And that's where it's so important that we have our app, that we have somebody can click for a virtual tour and they can schedule an in-person tour. It's at their fingertips so that you are at their fingertips and your service is there where they need you. The consumer is doing a lot more commerce and things like that online. And that's what this graph shows too. You can see how 2020 and 2021 are tremendously over. Gosh, look back in 2000. I mean, our world is tremendously different today and the things that are happening. And then the categories. So we've got pre-pandemic, 11% of the US were doing grocery shopping online. And then peak at home, we saw 20%. Now to the reopening at 19%. So these are kind of the things you can see: grocery, pets, home goods, health and beauty, fitness, and apparel are all some of the things of the e-commerce categories. Listen, I love Shipt. I'm really, really proud to have Shipt. So if y'all don't know about Shipt, you got to do it. It's amazing. Changed my life. And then of course, same topic, digital adoption, people that are adopting things digitally that they have not before. And that's where we have so many tools and resources in the tech realm to keep you relevant and protected while the consumer is doing more digitally based business. And then this is back to exactly what Carmen was sharing. So this is how you can provide value based on all of those, topics in the economy that we're looking at. That's where you're going to be the center of the things that are going on. You're going to be the expert. You're going to be coming from contribution, and you're going to provide so much value that your database will be repeat and referral business for you for many years. And I think that's the end of our presentation. Carmen, did we have any more on here that you remember from this?
No, I think, with that, the digital sales, so it was saying Chipotle in, 5 years, they are going to be a tech company. They're not a restaurant anymore. They're getting into that tech realm, which is wild. But yeah, I think that's it. I think I have some announcements for Auburn, so I'm going to hop off and then y'all can have ahas.
Sounds great. Thank you.
Bye, y'all. Have a great day.
Anybody that went to Mega Camp have any ahas you'd like to share? Any ahas from today's conversation? This is where y'all talk to me. Bueller.
I think it's just important to remember the statistics that he went over, and the slideshows are very helpful. And some of those you can add to your listing presentations depending on who your audience is. And when she was talking about touching base with your sphere of influence, one of the things that I have done, and this is just, because we know what we focus on expands. My husband is retired military. My son is in basic training currently. I have reached out to many of my clients who are either currently serving or have served, and just said, hey, I just wanted to call and let you know, thinking about you. Thank you for your service for our country. And do you need anything? And that's a way to connect with people on a level that it goes back to, you don't know, they don't care what you do until they know how much you care. And so, and I guess part of it is that my son and his wife work in the mental health profession, and there's so much PTSD around that. And so while, it's almost like taking advantage of an opportunity, but it is an opportunity, because when you reach out to these people, they're going to remember you and they're going to say, hey, she really did care. So it doesn't always have to be about COVID. It doesn't have to be about those types of things, but that's one of the things that I'm looking at, is looking at my military service members, because a lot of times people who haven't served this country, and it's not a judgment thing, but if you haven't served, you haven't sacrificed, you just don't get it. It's like telling people what it's like to have kids and they go, oh, I got a puppy, I got this. No, you don't get it. So I think it's just important to reach out, because we all know somebody who, served in the 20-year war, had a kid in the war, somebody. So I just think that that's a really good opportunity to reach out to people and let them know, because I think that that's one of the things that really needs to happen in this whole healing is we need to come together as Americans right now and just be there for our clients.
Very true. And how cool is it that in our profession, we get to make meaningful phone calls like that? We are having this career by choice, and we get to love on the people that we know and that know us and like us and trust us. And so care calls to the military families, that's perfect, Katie, especially what's going on right now. They're feeling a kind of pain that I, as a civilian and a civilian family member, I can empathize, but I'm probably not feeling it in the same way that someone with a family member in the military or that has been in the military. And so reaching out to people is so vitally important. And we have no idea how much we can impact somebody by just saying, hey, I was thinking about you. It doesn't have to be, I think we get in this mindset of, I'm gonna bother somebody, I don't want to bother them. It's not about that. I've never turned down a phone call that somebody said, hey, you know what, I was thinking about you. And so that's so important. And on that topic, did you guys see where you can put in your affiliation, your military affiliation in Command now? It shows up on your app, it shows up on your website. You go into Command Market Profile Settings. I did a little screenshot to show y'all. It's in the Facebook group and it was emailed out. And you can click active duty, veteran, reserves, or military spouse. And so definitely be sure to do that. If you're in one of those affiliations, make sure that that's on your profile. That's so vitally important, and that can lead you to some business connections and some important networking that you may not have gotten before because people didn't know. Any other aha before we wrap up this morning? All right, Ignite is still going on. We got it tonight. We've got it Wednesday and Thursday, 6 to 7 in the Montgomery training room. It has been going phenomenal. I've sat in on some of the sessions and they're just so good, and they're 1 hour bite-sized classes. And so we've got the materials for everybody here. Just be sure that you're participating in that if you have the opportunity to do so. And then of course, for all of our mega camp attendees, all of that material is available for 60 days. So you have the ability to go in there and watch these sessions and look back on some of this stuff. And if you're like me, I've just literally like scribble notes and then I have to go back. And so the ability to rewatch is huge. I do miss the in-person event. And yet this is really cool because you can kind of go back and go, what did he say? And then rewatch it. Or what was the thing that agent talked about? What was that tool or virtual assistant company? You can go back and research a little bit. So thank y'all for spending your morning with us. I trust that it was valuable and you have some takeaways that lead you to some deals, some appointments, and you've got some things that you can enter into those conversations when somebody says, how's the market? You're not like, good. That's what I did my first year in real estate. I'd be like, good. I had no idea. So don't be that person. Know your numbers, know what's going on in your market, and now you can know what's going on in the United States market wide. So hope everybody has an awesome day, and we'll see y'all soon. Bye. Me and Katie.